just by show of hands and kind of how I want to direct my presentation, how many of you are really interested in starting your own company? Okay, that's fabulous. How many of you are kind of on the fence, like, if it makes sense, maybe? And how many definitely do not want to start a company? Okay, cool. All right, well, that really helps me. So it doesn't seem like too long ago when I was right in your seat. I graduated in 2003, and then I came back for a nighttime MBA program in 2008, and so I graduated, and it seems like just yesterday. So when people sit down and they talk to me about, hey, Reed, I want to do what you want to do, what you do, usually I direct my conversation in a series of questions. Why do I want to start a company? What type of company do I want to start? And then a whole bunch of hows, right? How do I find a good product to start? How do I make sure that I've got a good product? How do I fund my company? How do I get my product onto retail shelves? How do I make sure customers buy my product and get it off of retail shelves? And more recently, I've focused on one of those hows, and that's how to find a really good idea. Because a really good idea doesn't guarantee success, but it can sure stack the deck in your favor if you have a really good idea. So I want to give you first a little bit of background on me, and I'll start by talking a little bit about KT tape. How many of you have used KT tape or have heard of it or have seen it? Okay, about half, maybe a little bit less than half. Okay, KT tape is a stretchy, sticky athletic tape. You might have seen it on Olympic athletes. It's brightly colored. You might have seen it on World Cup athletes. You might have seen it on NBA athletes. Originally, I saw that product in 2008 Beijing Olympics. And that was kind of the idea when I had the idea to start KT tape. I basically saw about 3 minutes of the final gold medal match for beach volleyball. And there was an athlete, Carrie Walsh, and she had this black tape on her shoulder. And I thought, hey, what is that? And well, a lot of people had that question because MSNBC started talking about it for about 10 minutes. What is that? Is that a tattoo? No, it's covering a tattoo. No, she had surgery on her shoulder. It's called kinesiology tape. And kinesiology tape popped up to the #1 most Googled term on the internet. I went to Google Trends, and it was #1 kinesiology tape, #2 Michael Phelps. And that never happens with a consumer product. I've never seen that happen with a consumer product, especially one that you can't buy in retail stores. And having just exited another company, I thought, hey, this might be a really good wave of interest that I could ride. And so I started calling up retailers. I started calling up Sports Authority and Dick's and Big Five and Hibbett's and Dunham's and Sport Chalet, and talking to those buyers and saying, have you heard of this product? It's called kinesiology tape. Do you carry it? And they say, no, we don't carry it. You're the 200th person today that's asked me for it. If you know where I can, if you find out where I can get it, give me a call back. And I said, this is it. This is the product. So, put together a team of myself and a few other people I'd worked together with. Let's flip this around. Whoop, there we go. And we started to try and decide, who do we want to go after? Who gets the most benefit out of kinesiology tape? Is it the geriatrics? The people who are sore all over? Is it the pediatrics? Is it? And it turns out that as we did a little bit of market research and we asked chiropractors that use this product, they said, it's the guys who won't stop. It's the athletes who will not stop doing what they love long enough for their body to heal. And this is a product for them. And we said, perfect. We know our customer segment. It's athletes. And so one thing led to another. I won't go into all the details. But KT tape is in its 6th year. We sell, before we started KT tape, there was a similar product called Kinesiology Therapeutic tape. We changed it a little bit. We made it specific to the athletes. We branded it. We rounded the corners. We changed it a little bit. But our version, our 2.0 version of this product sold about 15 million rolls last year. The previous product was only a medical product. It was sold by doctors, to doctors. In fact, you had to even be able to order the product. You had to go and get a certificate of kinesiology taping. And that's how the company that was selling the product was making the money, was in the certification process. And we said, this is kind of an obscure product that we'd like to bring to the limelight and get on a lot of athletes and teach them how to apply it themselves. And the clinical use for kinesiology tape last year was 100,000 rolls. So the market for the consumer market of the product was much larger than the clinical use of the market. The business grew. Mostly we found out that our customers were very skeptical about the product. Said, I can see how a brace works, this big, fat, heavy brace, that's going to make my knee feel really good. It's going to take the strain off of it. But how about a couple little grams of tape? How's that going to help me? And so we said, how do we overcome this skepticism? Well, as soon as we got tape on somebody, we had a believer. Before we got tape on them, they were very, very skeptical. So we said, what we've got to do is we've got to generate a lot of trial. We need a lot of injured people. We need a lot of injured athletes. Where are we going to get them? Well, volleyball players don't get together in more than a couple dozen, and football players and soccer players. Runners. Runners are highly injured because they're getting ready for a marathon and they're putting their body through something it's not supposed to do. And and a lot of them that are doing a marathon, a lot of people are actually around one marathon, right? They've done it and it's like never have to do that again. And so they've actually never run the marathon distance. They kind of ladder up. And so we hit them right when they're most vulnerable. Right when they're going to the race, they pick up their kit. They just did their 18-mile run 2 days ago, and they know something's going on weird with their knee, and we're there with tape. We get it on them. They stand up and they say, wow, that feels amazing. And then we get love letters. Oh, I would not have made it through that race without the kinesiology. And they tell their friends. And we largely grew this product by identifying that trying the product was the key to success, and then identifying where we could get a lot of injured people together. So we had this event marketing strategy. I don't know if you can see kind of there. This is a little bit dated, but in 2011, we traveled over 500,000 miles. We did, events, marathons in 29 states. Last year, I think we did 385 marathons worldwide, where any marathon with 12,000 runners or more, we were there, we were taping, we were selling tape, we were introducing people to this product, and now they can get it at all the sporting goods stores, at Walmart, at Target, at Rite Aid, at Kroger Foods, at Safeway, about 60,000 U.S. retail locations. It's been a real fun business. I don't need to go into manufacturing and product segmentation, but I spent from 2008 when we started KT Tape till the end of 2012. When I went to start another company, and that was FiberFix. How many of you were here last year and saw the business plan competitions and things, have heard of FiberFix? Okay, cool. FiberFix was kind of the same thing. We said, hey, this works so well to take a medical tape and bring it over into a consumer product. What other medical tapes are out there? And it turns out that one medical tape that also they use about 100,000 rolls a year is casting tape. If you've ever had a cast on your leg or your arm, and the doctor pulls it out of an airtight pouch, runs it underwater, wraps it around, and then in a few minutes it's hard as steel. And the idea with FiberFix was, could we take something like that, and could we make a rigid tape, a tape that you could fix a tent pole, a water pipe, a shovel handle, a frame of an ATV, something where we can tape it up and it's like welding. It's like, something that hardens. So early in 2012, same thing, we put together, pressing the wrong one. There we go. Put together a team, myself, Eric Child, the guy I've been using in China for 10 years, Eric, Spencer, and Chris, all my cousins or brothers. We started playing around with the product. We changed the product a bunch. The very first version of the product was pretty much black casting tape. But we found that it was too brittle, it wouldn't hold water. We just started tweaking. We just started tweaking the materials, the weave, the fibers, the resin. And we started getting it into stores. Ace Warehouse was our first customer. Then True Value, Fastenal, Home Depot, QVC, Do It Best, Orgill. And by the end of the year, we were in about 800 retail locations. And then in the second year, we started to kind of really firm up our IP. We got our product to be really good. We started inventing other products. And then this is kind of where it's gone from there in terms of At the end of last year, we were about 20,000 retail locations. Right now, we're in about 30. By the end of this year, we should be in about 40. Really broad appeal on this product. We've got it in everybody from home improvement like Lowe's and Home Depot to Fry's Electronics, Leslie Pool, Bed Bath & Beyond, Pep Boys, Obi, that's a European retailer, Dick's Sporting Goods, B&Q, Kmart, Wakefern. It's something that we really believe can be in every grocery store, convenience store, truck stop. Probably our total addressable market for this product is somewhere around 110,000 retail locations. So we have a long way to go with this product. So about 5 months ago, we said, it sure is a lot easier to introduce additional products once you get the first product in. This happened with a business before KT Tape called Seastone. It happened with Seastone. It happened with Fiberfix. You kind of get to this critical mass, and people start to recognize the brand, and they start to ask you, well, what else have you got? What other products? And so that's what the part of the business that I work on. And so what we did is we created a holding company called Spark Innovation. And under Spark Innovation, we started to line up these brands and families of products. And so Fiberfix became just one of those family of products, but we have another brand called Blade Electronics that is just launching. We have products under that. We have Grip Sports that's just launching, and products under that. We did a exclusive licensing deal with a product called Screen Mend. We have a product company called Yard Smart, and then another one that we just closed called Wall Doctor. So let me show you just a few of these products and kind of give you an idea, and then we'll talk about where they come from. All right. Okay, so here are just some basic introductory videos. So this is kind of...
Things always break at the times you need them most. Now with Fiberfix, you no longer need to replace it, you can just Fiberfix it. 100 times stronger than duct tape, Fiberfix can fix almost anything. It's easy to use and bonds to most surfaces. Simply dip the Fiberfix in water. Once the Fiberfix is water activated, remove excess water and wrap directly over the broken area. After 10 minutes, the Fiberfix hardens and your repair is now stronger than ever. Fiberfix is also sandable and paintable, so you can restore your item to look as good as new. Now with Fiberfix, you have a fast, affordable, and permanent fix, letting you return to work quicker than ever. Repair things you could never repair before with a revolutionary Fiberfix.
Okay, so that was our first product. It comes in a variety of sizes. Now it comes in colors and things like that. The ideas for the rest of the products kind of came from a variety of sources, but the next one that we invented was the heat wrap. Basically, we wanted to make a high temperature version of Fiberfix. We had people that were using it and said, I have an exhaust pipe that's broken. I have a furnace that's broken. I have a chimney pipe that's broken. And it was pretty clear that that there was a market for heat wrap.
The repair wrap 100 times stronger than duct tape. Now introducing Fiberfix Heat Wrap, designed for high temperature applications up to 850 degrees Fahrenheit or 454 degrees Celsius. Perfect for exhaust pipes, heaters, furnaces, and more. Normal repairs and replacements are time-consuming, difficult, and expensive. But with Fiberfix Heat Wrap, quick, easy, and affordable heat repair is now at your fingertips. Simply dip heat wrap in water, squeeze, and wrap tightly over the cool broken area. Secure your wrap with a metallic compression strip, cure with heat, and in as little as 1 hour, your repair will be stronger than ever. For the most durable, permanent fix, don't replace it, Fiberfix it with the new heat wrap from Fiber.
Okay, so pretty simple. It was basically Fiberfix, but a high temperature version. The next most common requested thing was that people wanted to repair things that were on flat surfaces. And so we came up with this one.
Remember Fiberfix, the repair wrap that permanently fixes almost anything you can wrap around? Now introducing Fiberfix Rigid Patch, your quick, permanent solution for flat surface repairs. The Rigid Patch is perfect for household, yard, outdoor, and recreational equipment. Just prepare your surface and place the Rigid Patch over the damaged area, pressing the edges to seal the patch. Expose the rigid patch to natural or ultraviolet light to begin curing, and in as little as 5 to 15 minutes, the rigid patch will change from yellow to clear, and your repair will be as hard as steel. Offered in 3 different sizes, the rigid patch gives you a fast, affordable, durable repair. FiberFix Rigid Patch. Now you can fix anything.
Okay. Also pretty intuitive line extension for FiberFix. And that was about as far as it got. As our customers kind of gave us feedback and said, hey, I need a high temperature version, yeah, I need a patch version, said, okay, what else are we going to develop? Well, we started thinking about other medical devices. And one of the things that people compare our product to a lot of times is like super glue. It's like a wrap with super glue in it that hardens really fast. So we said, well, why don't we take a stab at super glue? But there's tons of super glues out there, but they all kind of have the same problems, right? They dry inside you use them once and then you go back a week later to use them again and they've dried out. Or they stick on your fingers, or if you put some on the wrong spot, it's really hard to clean up. So we came up with this product.
Introducing the FiberFix Rapid Repair Pen, the fastest curing superglue complete with accelerator spray. There's no need for clamps or other fastening devices. With a rapid repair pen, precision bonding takes mere seconds, allowing you to use fixed items immediately after the repair. The rapid repair pen can be used on metal, wood, textiles, glass, plastic, and more. Simply apply the resin to one side of the material while squeezing the comfort grip. Then spray the accelerator on the other side. Align the 2 pieces together, and in seconds you will have the strongest, most permanent full surface bond. The new FiberFix Rapid Repair Pen. Now you can fix anything.
So we basically looked at what people didn't like about super glue, right? We didn't like that it hardened, and so we wanted to make it a 2-part, but we didn't want a 2-part that you had to mix and was messy, so we put it on 2 sides of a pen. I don't know if I have our other repair pen. Oh, I do. Okay. And then this was another iteration of the same product.
Repair pen, the ultimate precision bonding tool with UV activated resin. Complete with UV light, you control the cure time, avoiding the frustrations of drying out and messes associated with other glues. The unique shape of the repair pen allows for precise applications and easy access to small areas on any surface, including metal, wood, textiles, glass, leather, paper, and more. Just squeeze the comfort grip to apply the resin, position the surfaces, then shine the UV light until the resin changes from yellow to clear. With the FiberFix repair pen, you can permanently bond whatever you want, whenever you want. Now you can fix anything.
Okay. A lot of people will come and ask and say, okay, I understand, I get how you go from one product to another product to another product, and you kind of iterate, you have a brand that stands for something, but how about coming up with the first product idea? And that's kind of what I wanted to talk about next. Let's go back here. And we'll kind of skip through a little bit of this here. There we go. Okay, how do I come up with a product idea? How do you get that first original great idea? Well, I've been doing this long enough that these are kind of the 26 criteria that I use for determining if I'm going to go ahead and develop this product. Every product you have to sell twice. You have to sell once to the retailer, and then you have to sell once to the consumer. And the retailer is easy, right? If you go into Walmart, or you go into Home Depot, or you go into Dick's Sporting Goods, and you say, hey, here's my product, and this is what it does, and this is what you can do with it. They say, well, why do I want to buy it, right? They're looking for a product story more than anything. A lot of times they won't look at the financials, they won't look at you as a company until you tell them why this is a product that people will buy that they don't carry, right? Almost everything in their store is there for a reason. It's because they, people have requested it. It sells well, and here you come with something new. They want to know how we missed this before. It either has to be something new or innovative. The story can be, hey, we took this to the National Hardware Show, and we had a line, 20 minutes long in front of our booth. We were selling units, and we sold out the first day. The KT Tape story, the Olympics, was definitely part of that. You saw this product on Kerry Walsh's shoulder, and you know that people have been requesting it, and here we have it for you. With FiberFix, we were able to go on ABC's Shark Tank. That was definitely part of our story. Hey, there's lots of consumers out there who have heard of us, who know what it is, who are trying to buy it, look at our web sales. But you need a good story. So a lot of times I look at this product and I say, what's the story behind this product? Is it entertaining? Is it engaging? Is there something that retailers will take an interest in? Then as soon as they know that there's a good story behind it, then they're interested in margins and velocity. How much will I make on this product and how many will I sell? And so estimating that and putting some good data behind that, you have to have a little bit of experience with retailers. Some retailers have very low margins, some have very high margins. We have retailers like Costco that they have to have 17.5% margin. That's what their company dictates that they have. So if you give them more than 17.5%, they'll drop the price and then they'll tick off all your other customers. Walmart, their margins are 35%. Normal retail margins are usually 50 to 55. So going in prepared to have that discussion and telling them what their margin is going to be carrying your product and how much it will sell is pretty important to making that initial sale. You also have to have some organizational credibility. You have to kind of tell them who you are and why they shouldn't worry about you delivering this product. I have experience with this product. We've been making it for other retailers. We know retail. We know the vocabulary for retail. So the retailers are pretty easy sell. It's actually much harder to sell to the end user. Right? End users walk into a store usually with a purpose. They have a shopping list or they know what they want to sell. And so retailers strategically put the things that people want to buy in the back of the store and things that they don't want to buy in the front of the store. So you have kind of a planned purchase section of the store where the TVs are and the plumbing and the automotive supplies all in the back of the store. And then you have the Snickers and the Coca-Cola in the front of the store that people buy on impulse. And people don't buy really expensive items on impulse. So having an impulse price point definitely stacks the deck in your favor. You have to have a need to believe. And this comes down to people really understanding at a glance what your product does. We worked on this a lot at KT Tape and a lot at FiberFix. I mean, how do you communicate that this is like replaces a brace, right? It's got to be an image. It's got to be something that as your eye glances by it, kind of catches their attention. What we actually ended up using at KT Tape was this mannequin with all this tape all over him, and it looked like a naked guy. And people, I think that was why people would stop, and that one performed so well. They're like, whoa, what is that? And then there'd be all this tape, and it'd be like shin splints, IT band, runner's knee. It's like, oh, okay, I get it. This is for sports injuries, and you tape up different places. Okay, and then they'd kind of stop and think about it. But communicating that need that, hey, I didn't even know that there was something for shin splints or IT band syndrome. In the first glance is really important. Highly demonstrable. A lot of these products we use videos. We use just a 2-3 minute video to kind of convey, both to get the retailer's attention, also with video merchandising in the store. If the product is really hard to demonstrate, then you should rethink how hard it's going to be to convert and change the end user's behavior. And then the last one being a reason to believe, right? You've got to find a way to overcome that skepticism. That might be an event marketing strategy. That might be an athlete endorsement. That might be, there's lots of different strategies to give the product what it needs to get customers to buy it. Another thing that I look for in products is efficiency, okay? A lot of times I'll have students come to my office and they'll say, hey, I've got this great idea, and it is a great idea, and it's a great product, but it requires customization, or it requires, it just doesn't scale very well, right? You need it to be easy to manufacture. As you make more of them, your cost is going to go down a lot. Those economies of scale and the complexity of the item, it should just get easier and easier to manufacture. Then you've got a really good, efficient product. It can't have a ton of different colors and sizes, right? If you were going to go and say, hey, I'm going to do t-shirts, well, you know, you've got to have men's and women's, and you've got to have large, medium, small, extra large, extra large. You got to do it, and not everybody's going to like the print on it. And all of a sudden, instead of going to market with one product, you got to go to market with 80 products. And so if you want to stack the deck in your favor, a moderate SKU count is a must, right? Low potential for obsolete inventory. So some people will come to me and they'll say, oh, this is a great product, it's a phone accessory. You know those phones, you know, you hear the commercials, 27, you know, phone years. People change their phones so frequently. The little connectors on them change, the size of the phone changes, and there's just a huge potential for you to end up with a warehouse of stuff that you can't sell. So it shouldn't be an accessory of another product. It shouldn't be a rapidly changing market. It shouldn't be a fad. It shouldn't be a seasonal item, right? You don't want to sell something that can only sell for Valentine's Day, right? Because it's about a 3-day holiday in retail. And if whatever you don't sell that day, you're taken back or discounting. This is a really important one that a lot of people don't think about, but high value to size ratio. The best example of this is an iPhone, okay? You can fit about 8,000 iPhones on a pallet. An iPhone is about $500 a piece, so you're in the millions of dollars per pallet of merchandise. A bad example of a high value to size ratio is like concrete, you know, or gravel, or something like that. You know, a pallet's worth about $40, and it costs about $100 to ship. It's heavy, it's bulky. You know, there's lots of companies that have failed because of this value to size ratio. One of the other criteria for me is it's got to be easy to validate. There are some ideas that people come to me. I'll give you an example of one. I had a BYU student come to me, and he'd been working construction, and he said, you know, the biggest frustration, the biggest pain point for me and all of my friends that work construction is we've got to use tools with batteries, right? I have to use a tool with a battery because sometimes the cord doesn't reach, sometimes I got to pick it up and put it down and they get in the way and it unplugs itself. I have to use a tool with a battery, but all my tools use different batteries, okay? I've got a Ryobi this and a DeWalt that and a Makita this, and one of them is not charged and the other one's charged, and then I've got to carry on 3 chargers with me in my truck, and sometimes the site doesn't have power, and then I'm borrowing somebody else's battery and theirs doesn't fit my design. He said, I want to make a universal battery. And I've been working on this for 2 years, and I think I've got how you would do it. And I looked at it and I said, you know, to make a universal battery, you know, you're going to have an adapter for every set to every set, and you know, you're looking at. We just did a little bit of math, and we said it's about $100,000 of tooling cost to get this done. There's a lot of engineering in here. Each of these chargers have chips in it. You'd have to kind of reverse engineer those chips and fool it to it. This is not an easy to validate product. It's a good idea, not easy to validate. So I look for those things that we can validate with a video, with a conversation, with a prototype, and show people and get people interested, get pre-orders, you know, get them to believe that we can make it, and then gauge the interest from there. It has to have a mass distribution channel. For me, it has to be able to sell into at least 30,000 retail locations. If it doesn't have at least a 30,000 retail location distribution, I'm just not that interested in it. Multiple markets, you know, you saw with FiberFix that we're trying to go into military, industrial, sanitation and janitorial, hardware, houseware, mass, truck stop. You know, the more markets that you have, the more you'll be able to grow the product and grow it quickly. So an opportunity for category leadership. This is one of my favorite ones. So you know, we try to stay away from any Me Too products. Okay? If there's something out there that is similar to it, it's really hard to become the leader in that category. Okay? And so it has to be new and innovative enough that you have a chance to be the first one to market, that you have the chance to be recognized as kind of the thought leadership in that category, because by the time you're on version 3, somebody else will be knocking off your version 1. Right? And so you kind of have to stay ahead. One way that we did this with KT Tape was with how-to videos. So if you go onto YouTube and you start to type in how to tape, it will auto-populate a knee with KT tape. Okay, our KT tape instructional videos that tell people how to apply the tape to different parts of their body have over 100 million views. Okay, we've kind of achieved thought leadership for that category. Even people who buy regular athletic tape often watch our videos and try and imitate how to tape them because they've been viewed so many times. And then continuous innovation. You got to just stay. As soon as you get a good product, you've got to get another one and another one, and then pretty quickly you have a brand. So that's my next criteria. Is I'm not interested in products where I'm going to be private labeling. Okay, most of the value and the repeat business and the annuity, the value of that company ultimately is going to be in its brand. We see this a lot with KT tape as well, where you have, we have customers that sometimes leave us and they buy kind of a generic kinesiology tape, and then they come back and we ask them, why did you come back? Well, my customers were coming into the store and saying, hey, do you have KT tape? And they say, well, I don't have KT tape, but I have this stuff that's kind of similar. Let me show you. And they said, I'm just tired of apologizing to my customers. Like, I just want to give them what they want, right? I mean, yeah, sometimes they buy it, sometimes they don't. It's not even about that. It's just that that's what they always ask for. And so the brand actually ends up being just as valuable as any of the other assets of the company. So I want a product that you can build a brand around. Well, you can build a brand if you make an emotional connection. So I want something where people engage emotionally with it. And we've seen this with both FiberFix and KT tape. FiberFix, our love group, the people who really engage emotionally with FiberFix, are those that have it on hand when they need it, okay? So this is the trucker who's driving his own rig across the country, and he blows the hydraulic line, and you can hear it flopping around in the back, and it's illegal to drive without his hydraulic brakes. And he's like, oh, crap, I got to call AAA. It's going to be a $600 roadside call. Oh, no, wait, I have that FiberFix. And he fixes it, and he drives another 3,000 miles, and it's fine. And or the guy who's going fishing, 2 days a year, I get off of work early, I go up an hour away, I go fishing, I put my pole in the back of my car, had my battery in the back of the car, the battery slid around, broke the pole, didn't realize till I got there. Day ruined. Got to pack up all my stuff, go back, don't have a fish. Oh wait, I have FiberFix in my, and they get an emotion. I will never be without FiberFix. It's the same thing with KT tape. When we get them with the marathons, is we make an emotional connection and we build a brand. It has to be something that's highly visible. We actually make KT tape in bright colors. We make KT tape with, a really big logo on it, so that when they're out there exercising, people see it and say, "What is that? And does it work? And where do I find some?" There has to be a potential for strong differentiation and potential for product line extension. Those are two pretty self-explanatory. Intellectual property. This is one of the things that everybody asks me about. Okay, do you patent all of these? Yes, we patent all of them, but we've fortunately never had to defend a patent. Okay, if you have one patent and you have a really good idea, you will probably have to defend it. If you have two patents, you might have to defend it. If you have 3, 4, 5 around an idea, you won't have to defend it, because when patents go to litigation, it's very expensive. And it's kind of a coin toss. About half of them are upheld and half of them are struck down. And if I'm going to go against you and with one coin toss, well, then you might be willing to do that. But 2, 3, 4, 5 coin tosses, no. I'm going to get you on something. But patents are kind of our last layer of defense. So anyway, I wanted to translate those points into something that you could actually use if you're looking for a product idea, okay? So one of the things that I do is I look for products that are really old, okay? So, something that hasn't changed in a lot of years. I said 5 years on here. 50 years is better, right? So let me give you an example of this. Are any of you familiar with icicle lights? You probably see these on houses, yeah? The lighting industry back in 2004, the lights were getting so good that nobody replaced them, right? The bulbs were not expiring, and year over year sales were just declining. And one company came up with the idea, well, why don't we just make lights that look better, right? Let's make icicle lights. And they introduced icicle lights, and all of a sudden they did 15 years worth of light sales in 3 weeks during Christmas. And now you see all different kinds of lights, but it was somebody just looking at it and saying, this is a really old, tired category, and it's kind of declining, and everybody knows these products, and they're kind of tired of them. Let's just refresh it. Let's just take a little bit different angle. So when I watch old movies, okay, or when I talk to my grandparents, or when I see, I pick up what products they're using and what products haven't changed. Wow, this is like 50 years old. Umbrellas have not changed in 50 years. Somebody needs to redesign a new umbrella, right? That's a product that is just, they didn't have the materials that we have. I mean, you could imagine, I don't know, you've seen those little pop-up things that cover your windshield so that your car doesn't get hot. Why couldn't you design an umbrella with wire and something that pops? The other thing I hate about umbrellas is they don't really fit in your bag nicely. And if you live in New York or a city where you've got to have an umbrella, like I was stuck there at a convention a couple weeks ago and it was pouring. I thought, why don't I have an umbrella? It's because they're so hard to carry around. So I bought an umbrella and I threw it away at the end of the day. But said, there's a great product. I need a small, collapsible umbrella. Nobody's innovated around that product for 50 years. Watch some old movies. Talk to some people. Hey, what products do you use today that were the same as what you used 50 years ago? So that's a good source of product ideas. Combining two products. This is another one that I really like. I can show you another short video clip. So this is one product that we came up for one of our brands called Yard Smart, where, I'll just show
There's
you.
something exciting about the first snowfall of each year. Not everything about snow is exciting. Instead of enjoying the season, you're out in the cold, wasting your time and straining your back. Now with the flip and shovel, you can do it all in half the time with 1/10 the effort. The flip and shovel is changing the face of snow shoveling. Its innovative spring bar magnifies your efforts so you can move and lift snow with ease. Simply load and push, and the flip and shovel will launch snow upwards of 20 feet. The dual-handle comfort grip provides sturdy support, and the spring bar does the heavy work so you can clear your property without bending, twisting, or lifting. Don't spend this winter exhausted or injured. With the flip and shovel, you'll save your time and your back so you can enjoy the best of the season. The flip and shovel, half the time, 1/10 the effort.
Okay, I know these are kind of cheesy, but you get the idea. So and we didn't end up calling it the flip and shovel. That was kind of a joke, but we called it the snow thrower. But anyway, the idea was that, when you take a normal shovel and you bend over, you actually need about 40 pounds of effort to lift about 10 pounds of snow, and then to throw it, you need about 100 pounds of force. And why can't we just do the reverse of that, like with a pogo stick, or I think it was actually the blades that that some runner was using, that we were looking at, like, wow, he's really fast, and he's way faster than, and it's because of the spring action. Well, couldn't we use that to do something with? Couldn't we use that to throw snow? I didn't bring one of those. It barely fits in my car. But you just push down on it with some snow on the front, it loads the spring, and then it throws it for you. We didn't actually have real snow for this video. The guy in the hat and gloves was like sweating because it was 90 degrees out when we shot that. So combining two products, in that case, kind of like a pogo stick or some I think they're called cheetah blades, and a snow shovel. Let me go back here. Okay. Here's another example. I hate to put away the dishes. I'd just rather leave them in the sink, have them washed in the sink, and then take them from the sink when I want them clean. Well, couldn't you just combine a dishwasher and a sink? This kind of associate thinking, kind of saying, here's two products that can complement each other. Let's just combine them. That's a really good source of product ideas. What do you not like about an existing product? I do this unconsciously, and then, a good example, this was on Sunday. We had a bunch of people over for dinner, and I was making mashed potatoes with a hand mixer. And I was thinking, what I hate about hand mixers? I hate cleaning them, right? And I hate that I can never find the beaters. I was looking over the kitchen for like 10 minutes trying to find two beaters that match. I don't know why we keep the old ones for the ones that are broken, but and then I finally found them, and I was like, I just want these beaters to stay on here. Well, the reason they're detachable is so that you can wash them. Well, if I just kept them on there, why can't I just wash the whole thing? I mean, if they make cell phones that you can submerge in water and take a phone call, why can't you make a waterproof hand mixer that you could just throw the whole thing in the dishwasher? Could you make it smaller? Could you make it a little bit better if you didn't have to take the beaters off? So you look at a product and you kind of see what you don't like, and then just change that about it, okay? Another thing, find a different use for an existing product. So that's the story of FiberFix, right? That's also, you saw that UV pen, the one with the little UV light on the back. The inspiration from that was actually like when you go to the dentist and they fill a cavity and then they put some resin in there, and it's dang tough because it hardens like your teeth and it sticks in there really well, but they have to harden it with a UV light. I was like, well, why can't we make a consumer version of that, right? You take a product that is already out there, and hopefully it's a product that has a very, very specific market, and you plug it into a broader market. You say, what could we do if the average consumer could fix their own teeth? So that's kind of how the UV repair pen came to be, and the same with FiberFix. Okay. Here's another, find a product in an obscure market. That was definitely KT tape. It was around. It was actually around for 30 years before we decided to go. It was invented in Japan by a guy named Kenzo Kase. We just made it better and consumerized it. But that's kind of the story of KT tape. Now, if you don't remember anything from what I said today, which most of you probably won't, this is what I want you to remember. When you're looking for product ideas, this idea that you don't buy products, you hire them, okay? There's a job that every product does, okay? And we're going to call this the job to be done. And it's kind of a subtle idea, but this is where all of my best product ideas and my most successful product ideas have come from, okay? So when somebody goes into a store, they're normally thinking, okay, let's say I walk into Home Depot, and the guy greeting me at the front door, can I help you find anything? I'm looking for a 1/4-inch drill bit. Okay? I already have decided who I'm going to hire. But what you need to think of if you're looking for a product is, what job am I going to do? Well, you probably want to make a 1/4-inch hole, right? And there's a big difference between a 1/4-inch hole and a 1/4-inch drill bit. A 1/4-inch drill bit is just one of the products you can hire to do the job of a 1/4-inch hole. And so if you start thinking about it, well, yeah, if people are really interested in making holes, not in buying drill bits, how else could we make holes? What could we make holes in? A drill bit has some real significant limitations. It gets dull. It won't go through glass. I mean, there's lots of things I might want to make holes in that drill bits actually don't do a very good job. What is the best product that I could hire for making 1/4-inch holes? Well, it depends on do I want to go straight through? Well, drill bits aren't very good at that. So isolating what the job to be done is, thinking about things not in terms of, hey, I want to come up with a product idea. I'm thinking product. No, think job. Think, what is it that I need to be done? And then think of who the ideal person to hire to do that job would be. So an example of this, I didn't bring this video. I think I've got some samples of it here. But, I said we don't do Me Too products. This product is called Pulse Pack. It's a battery pack. If any of you know, there's about 10,000 battery packs on the market. Everybody makes a battery pack. I don't care if you do mobile accessories or you're just a one product company or whatever. Everybody has a battery pack. Battery pack, super easy, most easy consumer electronic to manufacture. It has a battery, it has a connector, and you connect the two with a little tiny chip that is also an off-the-shelf part. Well, why would we, who pride ourselves on product development, do a battery pack? Well, it turns out that battery packs, if you look at the market, they keep getting cheaper and cheaper and more powerful, right? So, first you had some that came out. This can charge your phone 1 time. This can charge it 2 times. This can charge it 5 times. They got bulkier. They got more expensive. And everybody's trying to make a better, cheaper, more milliamp hour per dollar battery pack. But if you look at the job to be done, how often do you need to charge your phone 5 times? Maybe if you're going on a week camping trip or something. The more common problem, the job to be done, is that, at the end of the day, I'm down to like 5% power and I'm trying to pick up my wife, and where is she? And I'm getting kind of anxious because my battery's going to die, and then somebody else calls me and I'm like, can't talk, my phone's almost dead, I'm trying to find, right? That happens to me like 3 times a week. And it turns out, if you look at the research, it happens to 70% of the Americans at least twice a week. Now, how often do they need 5 charges on their phone? During natural disasters, during camping trips, during, it's the rare occasion, right? And so we said, look, what we need is a crappy battery pack, not a really robust, expensive, nice, 5,000 milliamp hours. We need about 500 milliamp hours. I need about 2 hours more additional talk time. And guess what? I leave my house with almost nothing. I have my keys, I have my wallet, I have my phone. If it's not one of those things, it doesn't come with me, right? So, okay, well, I've got to make it the size of a credit card so it can fit in my wallet. That's kind of hard. Okay, I got to make it the size, well, how about my keys? Well, I can make it the size of a key fob. So it looks really big on here, but this is actually, I'll grab one. There we go. Okay. This is actually the size. It's about the same size as like a USB drive. 2 hours of additional talk time. Tells you on the phone. Some phones it's up to 4 hours a time. Some it's only about an hour and a half. But this is enough power for the end of the day. And so just understanding the job to be done with a battery pack is all that we needed to do to make that work. So, all right. And then the last thing, eliminating everything but the job to be done. One of the most successful consumer products you guys might recognize as college students is 5-hour energy. And this was something very subtle that they realized about the job to be done with energy drinks. Okay? Every energy drink was trying to be Coca-Cola, right? It was trying to be a refreshing drink that kind of fills you up and refreshes. But really, if you're drinking an energy drink, it's going to taste bad, so might as well get it done quickly. And the cost of Coca-Cola, most of it is in the shipping, right? We talked about kind of size to value ratio. How big is this bottle and how expensive is it compared with a 12-pack or a 24-pack of soda for the same price, right? They basically took out all the water. They took out all the shipping, all the packaging. They can put it on a countertop so they get better retail placement than everybody else. And they said, look, we're going to distill the job to be down to just one job. And we're going to do that job better than anybody else who does that job and 3 other things. We're not going to worry about taste. We're not going to be worried about refreshment. It's not even going to be drunk cold. And we're just going to give you just the energy that you need. So this is another thing that's related to the job to be done that is a fabulous way to identify opportunities for products, is thinking about this job to be done and getting rid of everything else. So, okay. Let me give you one more video and I'll tell you kind of how we validate products and then kind of where they go from there. Any of you know Bryson Smith? Some of you in here, I think I said hi to. So Bryson Smith was a BYU student that came to us with this. He said, my wife is a soccer coach, and she used to play soccer professionally, semi-professionally, and now she coaches, and she bends over 50 to 100 times per practice resetting cones. You know, the standard athletic cone is about a 17-cent piece of plastic that looks like this. Well, I cut this one open to measure a sticker off of it, but look kind of like this. And they come in 12 packs and they sell for almost nothing and nobody makes any money on them. But they get kicked around and you have to reset them. So there's a real problem here. And I think I've got a solution. It looks like this. And I looked at it and said, wow, that looks kind of dangerous. And, and I think this is going to break easily. It actually did. But I said, but you might be onto something. It is a real pain. And let's design something. So we designed the grip cone, okay? Which was, we put a central spike. We tested a bunch of spikes. You just drop it, step it into the ground. It stays where you want to put it. You kick a ball into it, you kick it, it doesn't come out. The only way you get it out is if you put 3 fingers on it and pull. We added the holes now that you don't have a hole in the middle to pick them up. They still nest, so they ship well. We basically went through this list and we said, hey, how do we get the value to size ratio up? Now we're on our generation 2 grip cone, and we're doing a glow-in-the-dark version, and we have, we're going to town with these grip cones. The way that we validated grip cone was to make this video. I'll show you really quick. This was done right here at BYU.
You've made your plans. you've set the course, and you've run the drills. Because you know that perfect practice makes perfect. But sometimes perfection lasts less than a few minutes, and your efforts are wasted on resetting cones, not progressing. Now, grip cones give you the edge you need to win. Grip cones are advancing the fundamentals of sports training. Grip Cone center stake is durable, convenient to use, and safe for high-level training. Simply place and step to set. The grip cone will stay right where you want it. When you're done, grab and stack for easy storage. Stop wasting valuable practice time on scattered equipment. Grip cones give you confidence that you're getting the most from your training. Grip cones, train with precision.
Okay. So this was from the time that Bryson came and saw us and we started redesigning this cone. This was in retail, on retail shelves at Dick's Sporting Goods in 45 days. So including the time to tool the plastic and everything. Because of this process of kind of qualifying the product, identifying the pain, shooting a video, sending it out, validating that people wanted it, pulling the trigger on the mold, arranging a meeting with a retail buyer, saying, here's the story. And he took it, and 2 weeks later we delivered product. So if you do this, if you stack the deck in your favor with the product, it can really pay off. So anyway, I think we'll do questions in 7:10. Okay, great. Thank you, guys.